when I tell y'all, I saw the Breakfast Club and I had to stop the video, y'all. I promise y'all, I had to stop that video. So I need you guys to make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe here. Let's not play with it. I was watching Kevin Hart on the Breakfast Club, and I really thought maybe he was going to humble himself, y'all. Maybe he was going to say, you know what? That George Floyd joke was a little bit too far. I should have checked Tony. I should have checked him. I should have said something. I thought maybe, just maybe, that same brother that went to George Floyd's funeral, that same brother who stood next to George Floyd's family, that same brother who let George Floyd use his platform. I thought maybe Kevin Hart still has some of that man left in him, y'all. I really did. I was wrong. I was so wrong, y'all, when I tell you what I heard come out that man's mouth. I'm talking about Kevin Hart. I had to rewind the Breakfast Club. I had to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. I had to make sure Netflix didn't slip something in my damn water. Because what I heard was not a man defending comedy. What I heard was a man defending his damn paycheck. What I heard was a man who looked at the black community, the same community that made his black ass, the same community that stood in line for his specials, the same community, the black community, that forgave him when he cheated on his pregnant wife and said, you know what? Remove me from it. I didn't say it. Remove me from it. Honey, Kevin, baby, I'm only going to say this one time. You don't get to go to a man's funeral, take pictures with his family, let them think you're showing up. Let them trust you with their grief, and then sit on that stage with them white comedians while they make jokes about that same man being murdered with a white knee on his black neck. You don't get to laugh at that damn joke. And I saw you laughing, Kevin. We all saw you laughing. Okay? And then you got shot, Cat Grant, while they make a mockery of a black body. And then he take his behind over to the Breakfast Club and say, remove me from it. Kevin Hart said, remove me from it. No. You don't get that, Kevin. You don't get to be the producer. It's my production. Those were your words, Kevin. Those were your words. And then 2 minutes later say, I'm not in charge of the dialogue from anybody on that stage. Well, which one is it, motherfucker? Is it your production or it ain't? Because you can't have it both ways, Kevin. You can't take the credit when it hit and then hide when it's a disgrace. And I know some of y'all in the chat right now typing away, keyboard gangsters. But Gigi, it's just a roast. Roasts are supposed to be edgy. Roasts go too far. And to that I say, I know what a roast is. I've watched roasts. I've watched how Tom Brady get roasted. I watch them roast Justin Bieber get roasted. And you know what? Those words were about them. They were about Tom Brady. They were about Justin Bieber. Those jokes was about them, about their careers. Okay? They didn't make a joke about the whole white community at their roast. It was about Justin Bieber's relationships. It was about their scandals. The roast should have kept on Kevin Hart. Why were we the target? Why were black people the punchline? Why was black bodies the punchline? Why was George Floyd the punchline? Why was black women the punchline? This was all planned. But Kevin roast, that roast wasn't about Kevin Hart. That roast was about us. And we have every right to say something when the roast is about us, damn it. That roast was about black people getting called monkeys. That roast was about slavery jokes. That roast was George Floyd, a man who ain't never been on stage, who ain't never signed a Netflix deal, who ain't never asked to be a part of the comedy special, getting turned into a punchline on your stage, Kevin Hart. And you sat there. You sat there and you laughed. And then you went on national radio and you defended the man who said it. It's Tony Hinchcliffe. I don't expect nothing less. I don't expect nothing more. You know what that sounds like to me, y'all? That sounds like a man who has been told so many times who his masters are that he don't even flinch no more when they disrespect us. That's what that sounds like. That sounds like a man who made his money, so much money, off of our backs that he forgot whose backs he was standing on. And the worst part, the absolute worst part, is when they brought up George Floyd's brother, Terrence Floyd, who said he was a fan of you, Kevin Hart, who said he expected you to be one to stop it. He expects you to be the one to stop it. It's your production. It's your stage. Who said he wanted you to come harder with your own jokes instead of letting a white man drag his brother's memory. And you know what Kevin said, y'all? Do you know what Kevin Hart said? You want to know what this man said? I'm never watching that interview like, I'm never doing that. I'm never going back and looking at it. I'm never watching that interview like, I'm never doing that. I'm never going back and looking at that. You can even watch the interview. You can even watch the interview. You can even hear what that family was saying about you, Kevin. Because if you did, you might have to feel something, right? You might have to remember that you were human once, right? You might have to remember that before Netflix, before the private jets, before the plant. Okay? When they was accusing you a whole bunch of stuff that got dismissed, you are a black man from Philadelphia who's supposed to understand what it meant to have the world laugh at you. But see, that's the thing about selling out, y'all. It don't happen all at once. It happens slow. It happens one compromise at a time, one yes sir at a time, one dress at a time, one is just comedian at a time, until one day you wake up and you don't even realize the man in the mirror, and the mirror don't even recognize you either. And I want to be clear about something. I'm not saying Kevin Hart should have jumped on that stage and fought Tony Hinchcliffe. I'm not saying he should have stopped the show. But what I am saying, what I'm begging y'all to understand is that there is a difference. I couldn't stop it in the moment, and I don't see why y'all mad. There is a big difference. I was caught off guard, and remember me. Remove me from it. Remove me from it. I didn't say it. Remove me from it. I didn't say it. There's a difference between a man who made a mistake and a man who doesn't think he made a mistake at all. Kevin Hart thinks he did nothing wrong. Kevin Hart thinks we're the ones with the problem. Either you're a fan of this level of content or you're not. If you're not a fan, then don't watch. Don't watch, Kevin. Like we can just unsee what we saw, Kevin. Like we can just unhear what we heard, Kevin. Like we can just forget that the same man who went to George Floyd's funeral is the same man who lets George Floyd become a joke at his damn party. And y'all, I keep thinking about Cat Williams said, I know, y'all tired of hearing about Cat Williams, but Cat said Kevin was an industry plant. Kat said Netflix had their hands so far up Kevin's behind that they could work for him as a puppet. They work him like a puppet, y'all. They work him like a puppet. And I used to think that Kevin was just being Cat. I used to think that Cat was just being Cat. I used to think it was just beef, just comedy competition. Just two grown men who just don't like each other. But when I watched that Breakfast Club interview, when I watched Kevin defend Tony Hinchcliffe with more passion than he ever defended the black community, when I watch him compare George Floyd to Rodney King like it's just another day at a damn office, I realized Cat wasn't being dramatic. Cat was right. Cat was right. And the saddest part is that Kevin and Cat supposedly made up. Kevin said they had a private conversation. They shook hands. They decided to be grown men. And the first thing Kevin did after that, he invited Kat to the roast. And Kat said no. Kat said, we just got it in a good space. We just in a good space. Kev, if I do it, I'm going to have to do it my way. And Kev said, half at it. Kat knew what that stage was going to be. Kat knew who was going to be on. Kat knew who was going to be on it. Kat knew they were going to say that. Kat said no. Kat chose his integrity over that Netflix check. And Kevin chose the check again and again and again and again. Again and again and again and again. And I see y'all in the comments. I see some of y'all defending him. He didn't say the joke. He's a producer, not a comedian that night. Y'all are too sensitive. And to y'all, I say, I understand. I really do. Because it's hard to admit that somebody you looked up to, somebody you laughed with, somebody you defended when the world was against him. It's hard to admit that that person don't care about you no more. It's hard to admit that that person you thought was family is actually just a businessman, a business honey, don't have no loyalty. Business don't have no consequences. Okay, business just has a bottom line. That's just business. But here's what I need y'all to hear me out on. This ain't just about Kevin Hart. This is bigger than Kevin Hart. This is about what happens when we let one of us get so big, they forget where they came from. This is about what happens when we celebrate a black man getting rich more than we celebrate a black man getting righteous. This is about what happens when we confuse success with integrity. And when we confuse a bank account with a backbone. Kevin Hart is not the first. He won't be the last. We've seen this movie before. We've seen the Zip Coon. We've seen the Pickaninny. We've seen the Mammy. We've seen the Uncle Tom. We've seen the Laughing Sambo. We've seen every black person who had to make white people feel comfortable to get ahead. Every single time we look back and we say, how did we not see it? Every single time we say, how did we let that shit happen? Well, I'm looking at it right now. I'm watching it happen in real time. And I'm telling y'all with everything in me, this is what it looks like. This is what sellout looks like when he don't even know he's sold out no more. This is what a plant looks like when the soil has been so fertilized with money that he thinks he's growing on his own. This is what happens when a man gets used to saying yes to power, that he forgets how to say no to disrespect. And I was shocked. I was shocked, y'all. I was shocked that he could sit there with Charlemagne, who has built his whole career on holding people accountable, and say, I don't need to prove people that I give a fuck. You don't? You don't need to prove that you care about the community that made you. You don't need to prove that you respect the family of a man who murdered you witnessed. You don't need to prove that you're still a one of us. Then what do what do you need to prove, Kevin? What do you need to prove? What is left to prove? That you can make a Netflix money, that you can book white comedians who make racist jokes, that you can sit on a stage and laugh while they drag our dead bodies. Because if that's all you got left, then you ain't got nothing left. You ain't got nothing left, brother. Not for us, not for the culture, not for the people who stood in line at your shows when you were nobody, not for the people who defended you when they said you weren't funny, not for the people who forgave you when you showed us who you were the first time, the second time, and the third time. And I want to be clear. I'm not saying cancel Kevin Hart. I'm not saying boycott his movies. I'm not saying burn his DVDs or whatever we do now in the streaming age. What I'm saying is pay attention. Pay attention to who shows up for you when it's hard. Pay attention to who stands up for you when it costly. Pay attention to what someone says your name with respect when you're not in the room, because Kevin Hart had a chance. He had a chance on that Breakfast Club interview to say, you know what? I messed up. I should have handled it differently. I should have said something. I should have checked it. He had that chance to be human, to be vulnerable, to be the man we thought he was. Instead, he chose to be the brand. He chose to be the business. He chose to be the plant. Okay? And I'm just so sick of it.